Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Rafael Nadal feels he played his last professional singles match today, Tony. When do you think you'll retire?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. From this or from OnlyFans? Which one?
Ooh, I didn't know.
Sorry. Yeah, I have 6 subscribers. Ooh. It's not a lot, but they mean a lot to me personally, so I'm not sure I want to get off that. Not sure.
Yeah, don't give that up. I bet that's a big money maker. Bet it is.
Yeah, full disclosure, I'd never heard of it till about 10 seconds ago. But it sounds like fun. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Joel Embiid gets called out, Alex Ovechkin gets injured, and Jeff Saturday gets 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Houston Texans riding Joe Mixon's 3 rushing touchdowns to a 34-10 win in Dallas over the now lifeless Cowboys. Wilbon, you are on the record as picking Houston to go to the Super Bowl. Does this win, after they had dropped 3 of their last 4 games, does it restore your belief in the Texans?
No, and it has nothing to do with the Texans' performance or effort. Though, they only get a B minus, and you're grading on the curve the opposite way because they played the Cowboys, who don't matter. The Cowboys are irrelevant and have no teeth. So beating the Cowboys, even if they'd beaten them solidly and had an A-plus effort, they still wouldn't restore anything. It doesn't change anything, Tony. If I did give you the Wilbon Power Index in the AFC right now, Buffalo is on top. I guess Kansas City would be second, but you know who I might have in there in third place? Ahead of Baltimore even would be the napping, usually, San Diego Chargers. I would have Jim Harbaugh's Chargers up to as high as 3, I believe. So Houston would be like in 5th or 6th place to me. And look, you don't have to be great yet. It's time. You don't even want to be great yet. You want to hit your stride sometime in late December. Houston's got time. I still think they'll be okay. Right. The defense is what I'm excited with and why I picked Houston to be in the AFC Championship game. But nothing last night changes that.
I'm really glad you explained the WPI, the Wilbon Power Index, for all the people out there that want to follow that. I'll get to Houston at some point, but they're not the story. The story is Dallas. Dallas is terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Like, they haven't won a home game this year. Every other team in the NFL, every team in the NBA, every team in the NHL, and their season's just started, they have won home games. Dallas hasn't won a home game, and not only that, excuse me, they've been down by 20 or more in every one of their 5 home games. Look, This is not a rum-dum franchise. No matter what you think of Jerry Jones, he has won Super Bowls. He has made his team a perennial playoff team, and they're horrible at the moment. They have nothing. It actually makes me feel a little bit sad, because the NFL needs them. They're a really big draw, and there's nothing going on there. There's nothing going on there at all. In terms of Houston, I'm going to agree with you in this regard. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I don't think they're as surprising as they were last year. To me, as you're pointing out, the Chargers are to this year what Houston was to last year to me.
Yeah. I like the way the Chargers, but Houston's got time. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon yet, Houston. We have no problems yet. 1 week after Joel Embiid's return, the 76ers are still sliding. Philly lost his 4th straight last night, sits in the cellar of the East at 2-11. The Sixers actually led the Heat by 19 in the first half, still lost by 17. In a team meeting afterward, the injured Tyrese Maxey reportedly challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities like practice, calling him, quote, late for everything, close quote. Embiid reportedly accepted the criticism and told reporters, quote, we'll be fine. Tony, will they?
Do I think they'll be fine? No. I think they will get better because they can't get worse. They're at the moment tied with the Washington Wizards, who are the worst team in the NBA, and nobody thinks they're going to be fine. I mean, what the Sixers have going for them is they're in the Eastern Conference, where at the moment I believe there's only 4 teams with a winning record. But the 76ers are dead last in points scored. They are dead last in field goal percentage. They are next to dead last in three-point percentage. And now the implication is that we should ascribe all of this to the fact that Joel Embiid has missed games. He's going to continue to miss games. He's not going to play in back-to-backs. And then he's going to get hurt because he always gets hurt. And now you have another really good player saying he's late to everything. So I don't feel that they're going to be fine, because fine for them is to contend for a championship. I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys felt they were going to be fine a few weeks ago, and they're not fine.
Yeah. Tony, I'm going to spin this forward a little bit because I'm not going to disagree with anything you said. I'm going to spin this forward, though, and look at there is a positive element to this. Tyrese Maxey is the star going forward of the Philadelphia 76ers. He's respected in the clubhouse. He is beloved in the market, in the Philly market. They love Tyrese Maxey, and they should, because he's everything you should want a young star player and star to be. So him challenging the big man is essential, right? And so I think they're going to be not all right, but better, and then we'll see. First, they got to get Maxey healthy, because he's going to be not the best player, because Embiid is still that, but he's got to be the most important player. He probably is that, and he senses it, and that's why he held that meeting. Tony, I think they're going to get better, but here's the point you're making, and look, it hurts me to agree with you on this because I love Embiid. Tony, he's not ready to play. And when is he going to be ready? Mike. Like, he can't practice hard. He can't play a string of games.
19 points.
Yeah.
Up 19 and lost by 17. There was a period of time, 14 minutes and 37 seconds, when they were outscored 61-26. And Embiid was on the court for some of that. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, he was minus 22. No, you can't play your way into shape if you don't play. You can't. Let's move to hockey. And Alex Ovechkin. The Great Eight continued his torrid pace last night, scoring 2 goals for Washington against Utah. But with 14:30 to go in the game, Ovechkin came out with what is being described as a lower body injury after colliding knee-to-knee with a Utah player. Ovechkin has been listed as week to week. Wilbon, your reaction to all of this, the goals and the injury?
I have no reaction to the goals. I don't care about that. Ovechkin has scored enough goals. I care that he is playing so well. He's playing so well. I just want to see him. He's old now. I mean, he's been around for forever, and to have this kind of season, it's LeBron-like. And it's the same way I'm going to refer to LeBron and Steph Curry, guys who are royalty in their sports, all-time forever greats. Alex Ovechkin is that. And so I go back to like when Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, and then when the great players have these things late, you just feel bad. I'm even going to go to a guy that I've lately disliked, but he's an all-time great, Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt last year. You just want to see the all-time greats play, give them an applause in their bell lap, and so we're not seeing that, and that's what bothers me. That's all I care about.
He's 39 years old. He's off to the hottest start he's ever had. At 39 years old, 15 goals, leads the league, 15 goals in 18 games, on a pace for 68 goals, which would be his career mark. But when they say week to week, Mike, that's a little bit scary. This guy never gets hurt. This is a number that's amazing. He has missed 35 games due to injury in his entire career. 1,444 games. He's only missed 35 with injury. He's the big Russian machine. But he's 39 for the first time. Maybe injuries happen more often. Maybe they linker. He needs 27 goals to pass Gretzky, and we both know he's going to get it. But if he got it in the next 44 games, he'd get to that number ahead of Gretzky. He's not Gretzky, but he could be the greatest goal scorer. I mean, week to week doesn't sound good. It just doesn't for a guy who never gets hurt. Let's take a break. Coming up, Jim Harbaugh has had great success with his offensive line. We will ask Jeff Saturday why more teams don't stress that.
We'll also ask him whether he can see any reason, any whatsoever, the Ravens go away from Derrick Henry. Please stop.
Will there be conflict between Maxey and Embiid? Is there conflict there now?
No. Apparently, Tony, this was the thing to do. That Embiid accepted it and said, okay, big man. I mean, I give him all credit for that.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Interruption, presented by Bullet Frontier Whiskey, part of Happy Hour.
Let's spend time in the NFL trenches with our great friend, ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday. Jeff, we'll start with this. And by the way, nice tie. You look like an adult today. Last night, the Cowboys left tackle Tyler Guyton grabbed a loose ball, tried to run with it. He got stripped for a touchdown that went the other way. Mike McCarthy said that Guyton should have gone down. But if you're a lineman with a ball in your hands, Jeff, what is your instinct?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Typically, I would tell you he should go down. But we're 3-7. We can't stop a soul on defense. We got a backup quarterback. We got 2 running backs that are my age. By God, I'm scooping and running, baby. I'm going to go for freaking highlights myself. I don't blame you, Guyton. I'm going to do me, baby. It's me time. I'm going to go show what I got. You saw him scoop it up. He flashed back to Pee Wee where you had a stripe on your helmet and you couldn't get tackled. He thought nobody would be able to hit him. And then all of a sudden reality set in. And everybody hit him. He looked like he was getting shot. Couldn't ball loose. Scoop and score. All the best laid plans went to fault, but I don't fault him a bit. I don't fault him a bit, Tony. I'd have done the same thing in that situation. You got to run it every now and again. Go for it, Guyton.
We're going to go from offensive line calamity to some offensive line dominance. The Chargers have won 4 straight. Jim Harbaugh has made no secret of how great his offensive line is playing. Jeff, I think what we're wondering here, I know I am, and Tony and I covered the great Joe Gibbs Redskins that built with the offensive line. Why don't more teams, as they try to build, start with the offensive line, which can be completely independent, as Harbaugh points out, of everybody?
Oh, listen, the greatest line is when he said that the offensive line doesn't rely on anybody, but everybody relies on them. There's not a truer statement in football. And when you think about teams that do it, Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know they're struggling on the left side with the rookie, and now they have Wanye in there at left tackle. But you saw Brett Veach after they got beat by Tampa. Retool that offensive line. The best teams in the NFL, that is still the formula. It's no more complicated than that. Everybody understands that without an offensive line, you're only going so far. When you get these offensive lines that can punish people, you're looking at the Detroits and the Eagles, and they can run the ball. When the weather changes, you get in the playoffs, you don't have to depend on only your quarterback to make big plays for you. It changes the dynamic of teams. So more teams should do it. And unfortunately, they fall in love with all the shiny toys on the outside and forget about fundamental football. Physicality still wins in the NFL. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Oh, that leads me into a pet peeve, and I know you're with me on this, because my voice, if it sounds raspy and hoarse, is because I was screaming at the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday to put Derrick Henry in the damn game at the end and use him before you get to the end. Jeff, am I wrong on this? Is there some reason to not give the ball to Derrick Henry?
Not at all. Not at all. Here's the thing. I think Todd Monken is a very good offensive coordinator in our game and has done a fantastic job developing Lamar Jackson, and they're at new heights offensively for the Ravens. But again, what I just said, how did the Steelers play them? Physicality wins in the NFL. And Pittsburgh's like, I'm going to stack a box. I'm going to go hit you right in the mouth. You might get me, but by God, you're going to feel a beating when you do. And for whatever reason, the Ravens' Achilles heel, whether it was the AFC Championship game last year against the Chiefs or even this latest example, they don't want to play physically. And I don't understand it because Harbaugh has the mentality, and usually his teams are built that way. But why even if you don't have him running down the forecourt, why on the 2-point play is he not in? Makes no sense to me. Even if he's a decoy, you got to have a man who's as big as defensive ends in the game 2 yards away or 2.5 yards to go make this play. So I 100% agree.
We will get you out of here on this. The Packers said they knew they were going to block a kick against the Bears, and they got one. As a player, how often does it happen, Jeff, that you see something on tape and you know that something big is going to come out of it?
Oh, every week. Every week you're circling in game prep and game plans plays that you're going to take advantage, whether it's the way safeties tilt against a play action, but particularly in special teams. Special teams coaches, they look for the smallest of detail, and they're going to find the crack, and they're going to exploit it. And when you saw where they went and rushed and the way they rushed, now, is it legal? It's borderline, like the push, the leverage, all those things. It's not going to get called very often, right? It's going to have to be blatant, and it wasn't blatant enough to call, but it happens every week, Tony. They understand, and you saw it in Houston and Dallas. The fake punt early in the game, and Mechie does not miss a beat, comes right downhill and blasts it. It's because special team coaches look for the finest of details, and they try to exploit it. And unfortunately, Green Bay got the Bears and crushed another game that the Bears should have in the win column. That's 2 this year so far that they just cut your heart out if you're a Bears fan.
Well, Wilbon is a Bears fan, and crushed is the right word because he's felt crushed week after week after week. Thank you, Jeff, as always.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Love y'all, man.
Let's take one last break. Still to come. The Jets make their second big firing of the season. They fire the owner.
And the 15-0 Cleveland Cavaliers get a big test tonight on the parquet. They're going down. They're the best team in the league right now, but they're going down.
You sure? So you were right the other day.
Tonight on Sport.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Bullet Frontier Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 66th birthday, Michael Ray Wilbon. One of the original hosts of the Pardon the Interruption show. Wilbon became best known for slurping Michael Jordan and everyone else who ever spent 20 minutes in Chicago. Here is a partial list of Chicagoans Wilbon idolizes: Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers, Stan Mikita, Ferguson Jenkins, who taught Wilbon how to throw a curveball, Jerry Sloan, Norm Van Leer, Derrick Rose, Ernie Banks, Patrick Kane, Al Capone, and the chef at Chicago Cut. Everybody but Matt Nagy. Wilbon hates Nagy. Wilbon left PTI to open an anti-analytics firm that disregards all numbers except a starting pitcher going 9. And in recent years, Wilbon has taken an agronomy course so he can develop a lawn that everyone under 50 will get off.
Get off. Thank you for that. Some other November 19 birthdays, big ones. Ahmad Rashad, Patrick Kane, Carson Beck, my man Max Homa, Ryan Howard, D'Angelo Hall, Gail Devers. Don't forget performers like Meg Ryan, Jodie Foster, Calvin Klein, Chauncey Faust, Tony, you and I, Inside Baseball. And always the patron of November 19 birthdays, the great, late Larry King.
That's amazing. All of those people, and we did it about you. We must be stupid. Happy anniversary, Herm Edwards. On this day, 46 years ago, with the Eagles out of timeouts and 20 seconds away from losing to the Giants 17-12, for reasons still unknown, instead of taking a knee, Giants quarterback Joe Pisarcik fumbled his handoff attempt to Larry Zonka. Edwards scooped up the ball, took it 26 yards for the touchdown, the win, and the inside track for the final spot in the playoffs. The CBS crew was in the middle of thanking the producer and director when the fumble occurred. The Eagles radio call by Merrill Reese is essentially, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it." Eagles fans call this the miracle of the Meadowlands. Giants fans refuse to acknowledge it ever happened.
Tony, that is probably worse than a tipped Hail Mary. That's probably worse than everything. You feel worse about that play just about than any football play that's ever ended a game. Just about.
I agree with that. A melancholy trails to Bob Love. The longtime Bulls forward died Monday from cancer at age 81. Love was a 3-time All-Star who averaged 21 points and 7 rebounds across 9 seasons in Chicago in the late 60s and early 70s. He rarely did interviews in his playing days due to a severe stutter, but later worked with a speech therapist and became a community ambassador for the team in 1991. Love's number 10 was only the second jersey retired by the Bulls after the number 4 worn by Jerry Sloan, who Love played with, along with Norm Van Leer and Chet Walker. Wilbon, that is the team of your youth.
Yeah, Tony, we've lost them now. And Tom Borwinkle was the 5th starter on that team. You mentioned all the guys. We didn't have championship teams in any sport in Chicago when I was growing up. We had stars. And you mentioned them earlier, stars, and they were my heroes. And Bob Love was one of them. And that team, they could never break through. They couldn't get past Kareem and the Bucks or Wilt and the Lakers because the Bulls were in the Western Conference then. And they couldn't get to a championship. They lost to Golden State, I think, in 1975 with your man Rick Barry. And it was tough. But
Yeah.
I learned everything I believe about basketball from that team and the great Dick Mott of their coach. And I would not take any of it back because they were great and fun to watch and just good people.
Two omissions. Inter Miami head coach Tata Martino has stepped down, and Jim Montgomery is out as Boston's Bruins head coach. We got to go quick to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The Jets fired general manager Joe Douglas. That makes sense to you?
Given their season, anything they do makes sense with getting people out. Baseball's Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens, Lewis Heel of the Yanks. That okay with you?
Yeah, Skeens certainly. Lewis Heel was a close vote over Colton Cowser. That was a close vote. U.S. men's soccer beat Jamaica 4-2 last night to advance to the Nations Cup semis. Is that significant?
It is if Pochettino's style of play is having impact and that team is getting better, which some people think. Next college football playoff rankings are out tonight. I could care less, but I know you're curious about what?
How far up does Colorado go? How far down BYU? Where's Georgia? Last one, the 15-0 Cavs at the defending champs tonight. I know who you got. You got the Celtics, right?
Yeah, I got a clicker to watch it. I got a good close game, but I got the champs winning at home.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast or the app on Apple Podcasts. And now, your sports.
Happy birthday, Pookie.
Thank you.
PTI. In tonight's PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon, what's your take on the 76ers team meeting, and what are the chances they turn their season around?
Tony, I think at this point, at 2-11, it's not going to do any harm. So you're not risking anything. Sometimes team meetings, don't do any good and teams just sort of flatline. The Sixers are already flatlined. I mean, they have no season so far. And this is Embiid's injury, and Paul George missed the first, 3 or 4 games at least. And now you got Maxey out. So injuries are directly, a part of that. But they need somebody to take control of that team. And people are less familiar with Maxey, right, than Embiid and Paul George because they're stars for a long time. But Maxey's the future of that team. And to have him speak up like that and to have Embiid go along and say, okay, I hear you, young fella, I think actually, Tony, that's a good sign. I think that can't be the coach in basketball. It's got to be a player, and a player who matters in that room. Do I think the Sixers are going to immediately turn around with Embiid still not physically ready to play? No, but it's got to start somewhere, and I think this is where.
I agree with you completely about the essence of a team meeting. But what we don't know is if Embiid is going to turn the corner and be a different person, or if he just said, I hear you completely and I'll do it. Look, they got Paul George, they got Maxey, and they got Embiid. They have not played one game together yet, if my statistics are correct.
They have not.
Are they capable of being much better than this? Sure. And it's only like 13 games out of 82 because there's 70 more games to go. But you know what, Mike? Sometimes you get into a collective funk and you don't really get out of it. And every loss reminds you of the previous losses. And in the case of Embiid, he's going to miss more games. He's going to miss back-to-backs. He always gets hurt. Everybody gets hurt in the NBA. Sometimes you get a little bit better, but their ceiling is to contend for a championship. I'm not sure they can do that. I'm not sure that's all going to mesh with those 3 guys and it's going to work. Are you?
Tony, I'm going to give an amen to your phrase, collective funk. We just saw that with the Brooklyn Nets a couple of years ago. They had this glittering lineup, and it was injury after injury, and then they just couldn't play, and they had to just dismantle the thing. I hate the notion that Philly's going in that direction because I like Paul George, I like Embiid, and I love Maxey. I want to see them have it together in midseason form. But do we know that? No, we don't. That's it. We're done. Back to you.